Good evening. At 11 a.m. on the 19th of September 2002, my beautiful cousin Yoni Jesner was killed in a suicide bombing on a bus in Tel Aviv. That's why I'm here today to speak to you. It's a strange thing, but when you think about it, you might wonder why we actually have Yom HaZikaron. After all, anyone who has suffered the loss of someone dear remembers them each and every day. I do. And anyway, we have the yahrzeit and we have the anniversary of their death. So why do we have such a day as this? I think the answer lies in two words: community and action. We can care as much as we like. We can think and remember as much as we like. But if we do it alone in our home, we have changed nothing. By coming together this evening, we have taken what might have only been a thought or a memory, and we've changed it into action. We have acknowledged that we are part of a London community, and we are part of a diaspora community, and also our Israel community. We cannot be a community on any level if we do not take time to act. The call of Yom HaZikaron is not only a call to us to remember. In Judaism, we never remember for the sake of remembering. We remember so that it leads to action. We remember Hitler, Haman, and Amalek, so that we'd never forget what we Jews were chosen for. We were chosen for our lives to be a tikkun olam, living in acts of kindness, an example of how to do good and help to eradicate evil from this world. We remember Yetziat Mitzrayim, when the slaves escaped from Egypt, so that we never forget the value of freedom and independence, and are prepared to stand up and be counted for, and not just ours, but for other people's freedom too. And this evening on Yom HaZikaron, we remember the soldiers who have given their lives and the victims of terrorist atrocities whose lives have been taken, so that we ensure that the values they cherished, the ideals they fought for and lived by, live on through our actions. Anyone who knew Yoni will remember that he lived his life with three things in mind: his love of Torah, his love of his fellow man, and his love of Israel. These three things inspired everything he did. He truly lived by these values and ideals. He was a doer with a capital D. To me, this is the perfect combination and one I will always aspire to. You know that saying that a long life is not good enough, but a good life is long enough? Well, that was Yoni's life. Ari, Yoni's eldest brother, said at Yoni's funeral that Yoni achieved more in his 19 years than most of us do at 90. He had such wide and varied interests and involvements. He was the youngest volunteer at the Glasgow Chevra Kadisha, the Burial Society. He tutored religious or school subjects most days, as well as having his own regular learning sessions at yeshiva. He headed Glasgow B'nai Akiva and the Jewish Youth Council, and was the youth delegate to the Scottish Parliament. He helped out with shul services every week and taught Cheder on Sundays. He taught himself to speak Hebrew and to play the guitar, and all this while studying for his A-levels, which he passed, as you can imagine, with the highest grades. He had friends of all ages, backgrounds and religions. He was nutty, zany, yet utterly focused all at the same time. It was he, the youngest of my four older cousins, who was the first in shul every Shabbat morning. And it was he who would make sure that we all went to visit our grandpa every Shabbat afternoon. He rounded us all up. When Yoni was 15, he and I went to my grandma's house in the summer. He helped me get over my fear of dogs. One evening we took a walk to the rose garden nearby. As we were walking along, we heard a large dog barking ferociously. I was petrified. Yoni very calmly looked at me and said, "Give me your jacket." I wasn't sure where he was going with this request, but far too panicked, said no problem and handed it over. He simply wrapped it around his arm and barked very loudly back at the dog, who whimpered and ran off, and my fear disappeared in a flash. I wonder how many of us will actually see our children realise their potential to become the best they can be, choosing to care, choosing to live their lives out, to lift their lives out of the ordinary, where they constantly think, I want, and what can I get, onto the extraordinary, where they can begin to think, what can I give? This to me is what community is all about. This is what Yoni was all about. Lord Sachs wrote, "The good we do lives after us. It's the greatest thing that does. We may leave a legacy of wealth, power, or even fame. But these are questionable benefits and sometimes harm, rather than help those we leave them to. What we leave to others is a trace of our influence for good. We may never see it, but it is there. That is the greatest blessing of leadership. It alone is the consolation beyond grief, the part that never dies." I do know of the profound influence Yoni has had, and that knowledge gives me great comfort. But I also know that there are many more potential Yonis in our community, and that's why our family created the Yoni Jesner Foundation. The foundation is all about seeing the end of Yoni's life as the beginning of the immortality of his influence. It is about refusing to be broken, refusing to hate, refusing to be diminished. That would mean victory for his murderers, and it would be the antithesis of all Yoni stood for, and Yoni stood for everything good. I know that in years gone by, my place at an evening such as this would most definitely have been among the audience. But then Yoni was killed, and suddenly my family was catapulted into a realm of existence, into a different world. So now I have a story to tell and share as Yom HaZikaron takes on a whole new meaning for me and my family. It is a story of a terrible loss, but it is also a story of the difference one young man can make to a community. And if in telling I have been able to inspire you and fill you with a sense of the goodness, the humanity that was Yoni, if I can inspire you to do more, to care more, then Yoni lives, because doing and caring is what he was all about. 14 years have passed since Yoni was a part of this world, doing all the many things he used to do in a day, always so busy, always doing good, always with his whole heart and soul. So much has changed in 14 years, and yet so little has changed in 14 years. Yoni doesn't know that he's an uncle to 13 nieces and nephews. He doesn't know about Skype, or iPads, iPhones, or WhatsApp. He's never heard of a man called Barack Obama. There is just so much he doesn't know. Life runs on at an incredible pace, but that's okay, because as family, we've learned that however much moving on we may do, it doesn't mean ever leaving Yoni behind. It means carrying his memory with us and all that we have learned and still learn from him. But what may change in our lives and in the world around us, there are some things that will never change. Like the fact that Yoni will always be 19 years old, that he will dwell forever in the deepest recesses of the hearts and souls of all who loved him, and that the energy of all that he did and all that he was will never stop inspiring us. I'd just like to finish with one of Yoni's aphorisms. A person who is only concerned with himself will wake up one morning and question his worth, but a person who gives his time and effort to others will know his worth when he sees the fruits of his labour.